Hello, in this video I want to speak about the analysis of the book from the Austrian by Michael Macaulay. He's going by the channel name History for Thinkers, and I also want to speak about why I was listening to this analysis and kind of what my partial connection is to this whole dark topic. I don't want to name the author of this book or this personality straight away because it's mentioned way too much. It's a still controversial topic, even how many years ago? Well, 100 years ago this book was written. I think 1924 or something, yeah. We're now at close to 2022. And so this series, there are currently 15 episodes out. It's going in the book up to page 185. I think the whole book has about 400 to 500 pages. I couldn't find it straight away. It's a book I currently don't possess. I'm still wondering if I should get it at one point. It's a very, very bad read. It's very badly written. If you're into writing and you're up for an example how not to write a book, how not to write, have a try and don't criticize yourself too much if you give up after 50, 100 pages or 200 pages. Throw it against the wall or out of the window after 400 pages because, I tried myself. I think I got to page 100 or something. I was enthusiastic. It was at university. Actually, my landlord gave it. No, not my landlord, but the guy who was living with me, also a refugee from Eastern Germany in 1945, survived the war, but got like all the education, the toughness that went with, or the indoctrination that came from this time, and of course the realization that this younger generation was fooled by everything that was worth anything living for. But those were the times, and that's part of German history. In the series, it's currently about 6.5 or 7 hours long, so there's still some way to go. I'll probably catch up again if there are more episodes out. It's going on already for quite some time. There wasn't an update for the last half year or so, but that's okay because can't blame anybody who's trying to attempt to get through this book and talk about it seriously because, Anyway, and of course this whole topic, everybody who speaks now about it is talking about it by hindsight, and you can't ignore all the other kind of things you heard or saw about this topic before. So I guess there's almost nobody out there in the world who can read it with an open mind, and it's okay if it's not being done because it's a very bad, in my opinion, a very bad book. Talks about bad ideas and led to the destruction of large parts of Europe and to the killing of millions of people. So it's didn't really lead directly to it. It's all interconnected. There were opportunities that were realized, but in large parts of their ideology, the simple thinking of there are certain groups in society who are really who really can be blamed for all the ills of life, which were done back then, and so that's it's still a very tough thing to go through. And even now, after kind of the end of the war, the end of the Cold War, the reunification of Germany, new German prosperity and kind of current slight decline of Europe, breaking up of the European Union, it's still one chapter of European and German history which defines most things, or you can see where certain actions stem from that time where kind of everything was reshuffled, most things were destroyed, lots of new technologies were developed, and so I think that's the only reason why it's maybe worth, if you have the time, to look into this topic. I definitely don't recommend this book out of the cold. I'm partly interested into it because recently I went through about 25 book series about the Third Reich or Nazi Germany, and it's a topic which which influenced me when I was younger, when I was an adolescent. I was definitely falling parts for the propaganda of heroism, soldierism, militarism, and it took me some time to get away from it and see it in a different perspective. And also, how to say, the kind of the social system they kind of this ideology it brings forward, and also imparts the family feeling that exists among this group are strong factors which drive quite a few people towards it. And so yeah, that's kind of some of the background why I picked up the series and watched it, because there are probably lots of other things people are doing around this time, and looking into or getting some energy from the toil of the last year, and are not kind of putting up with a couple of hours of this talk. I have to say, I was listening to everything in full speed at YouTube, so double the time. Still, it takes some time to get through it. But compared to the other books I was listening to recently about this topic, which amounted to, what is it, 500 something hours, just over 500 hours, also close to double speed, so 200 something hours. It's a rough topic to get through and to wrap your head more around. I definitely I haven't explored this topic in full depth. It never will be possible because there's so many books written about it. I probably should link a few good videos to this video, which give a good introduction, which kind of books to pick up, and which topics are kind of spoken about or to look into, because mainstream media and what most people kind of speak about it, this topic is still very superficial and not going into any depth which explains the systems or helps the people to, in my opinion, to understand the system, which is probably also one of the reasons why previously I couldn't make too much sense about it, because like people like Adam Tooze, Richard Evans, Jan Kircher, what's his first names, Reynolds, Mr. Ulrich, they're all historical or historians which are spoke about this or wrote about this topic only in the last 10 to 20 years. Let's give some more feedback to Michael, or kind of sort of as a video conversation, because I don't want to post an extremely long comment which might be read or not. Even I'm not sure if this video will get much views. I probably should keep it brief, even though some of the videos I do, not on this channel, but on other channels, they tend to get really long because, I just try to capture my thoughts, and it will be interesting for me to listen to them and again, like 5 or 10 years, or even if my kids or other people that know me pick up on it and can see what people nowadays thought about it, which too much free time on their hand, because I'm well aware that the level of exploration I did is, for most people, don't want to do it, can't, and mostly can't do it due to life commitments. Yeah. All right. So I really like that at some point you're dropping the name of Dan Carling. Of course, even some of your phrasing and talking gives credit to him. So it's a shame that Dan doesn't produce more content. But of course, I think he's also just one of those people who likes just to dwell into history. And a lot of people are have the privilege to get some of the insights from them. But it's really hard to to get onto his level, especially seeing how many things he researches from. Even though after many years, I wouldn't say I'm bored of his things, but I'm not as enthusiastic as before when there's a new episode out that I need to drop everything and listen to it straight away. I can wait now for some days or even a week to listen to it when there's something new out. Because more or less, it's whoever looked enough into history, you know what's coming. It's just kind of the presentation and maybe picking up one or two nuggets here and there, which you get out of those episodes. So about this book from the Austrian men, there's recently 2016, there was I forgot the name, from the German Institute of History in Munich. I can link it below. They published about 2,000 page commented edition. I'm still kind of thinking of getting it, but on the other hand, it's 2,000 pages, probably this thick, using up so much space in the bookshelf. And definitely for reference, if somebody picks something out and to see, what was the motivation, kind of where was history distorted, and how was it used, kind of to to propagate the extremism and the force of this political system. So for this kind of, I find it interesting to have this, but I have to. This was pretty bad. Sure, I should record this. My notes. Managed to triple the tripod. Anyway. So yeah, there's this commented edition around, which is which might be interesting. I think it's only in German. Actually, one thing I was wondering if you're interested in learning German, because I think it's not too difficult for English speakers to pick up German, and if you have no other commitment, you say like, okay, like for 2 years, definitely you're somewhere with learning German. I even would, I could help you somewhere along the way, because I'm a semi-language tutor. So even I was thinking it might be interesting maybe doing some sort of podcast or conversation together, because you have lots of insights in this topic. I just want to speak about it, mainly for self-therapy, I guess, because there is some group trauma in Europe from this topic. Everybody was affected. My grandmother took her over 60 years to speak about it. That she also was a refugee. When she was 13, she was expelled from Silesia, I think it's called. Yeah. And pretty much everybody in Central Europe had some traumatizing effect from this time, either through participating in the crimes that happened or being a victim of the system. So yeah, then it would be nice to hear which other sources you use, because there are books out which are probably, or I find definitely worth mentioning. So I mentioned already a few names: Adam Tooze, Richard Evans, Ian Kershaw, Reynolds, Goldenson, even like some of the biographies or memoirs from those guys. I haven't read this particular one, but he's mentioned all the time. Halder, Hers, especially Hers was really interesting, and because he also into kind of this whole psychology analysis. Ulrich, Martin Kitchen, Albert Speer, and also like some people who were close to this man, like Traudl Junge, and I haven't read like many other ones also, which would be really interesting. They're on my list if I pick up this topic again in a few years. Are the diaries from Goebbels, some more things from Goering, and also Himmler. You have actually an episode about Himmler. I haven't gotten around it to listen to it, which I will do probably next. In my current series, I couldn't find a good audiobook about Himmler, so I kind of dropped him for now because it's enough, and I want to move on. And yeah, so yeah, it would be good to know some of the sources you find good. In some of the comments, Tick was mentioned. I haven't gone through his 5-hour rant. Well, probably rant. I categorize it like this. I like his military history, the Courland battle series, currently the Stalingrad. That's definitely very good, very well done. I hope it will be done for pretty much every theater, looking at all different angles. It's definitely worth knowing his channel. Another good channel I want to give a shout out is the History Reader. He's going through a couple of those books. I think he might be a student also of history. I forgot. Austrian fellow. And so yeah, and you asked other books to analyze. So I wouldn't recommend Table Talks or probably any of the other books from this time from the Nazi area. Of course, trying to make a living of YouTube or finding topics that are interesting to other people, it's a topic to choose because people are drawn to it. The algorithm is pushing it. But what I find interesting some of the books to go through it. When I was, for instance, looking into Marco Polo's writing or like early kind of historians or contemporaries of any time period, they're extremely interesting. And of course, it's really hard to go through those works, seeing them in the context and kind of understanding how humans were kind of getting more realization about reality, about themselves and about the world, especially this time period, 1500, 1600, very interesting times, the first kind of bigger modern empires, pre-industrialization. Like also, I find the ancient Greeks quite interesting. Herodotus, Xenophon. I have one of his, what's his name? Robert Strasser. I don't know if you know the Landmark series. Really good books. I have the March of the 10,000. I think it's the unofficial title, where about a big army of Greeks went into Persia to help to overthrow the system, but then the guy they supported got killed, and they had to kind of go back through Persia and trying to reach kind of Greek. It's a very interesting story, so I have it on my higher list to hopefully get through in the near future, which will be probably the next years, hopefully. What I find more interesting is like thinking about history. There is the series from What is History? What is History Now? In defense of history, there are I think like 5-6 titles about this. Kick also has one of his main channel videos is about history, which is I have to go through. It's just an hour. His thoughts about history, what history writing, context, really good. And so those things I find definitely very interesting. I also saw quite a few links on your channel, and the videos they're actually dead links to your podcast, to Discourse. Probably good updating them, and it actually would be good to have some sort of community about this. So, but I haven't got around to do any Discourse stuff. So there are also time limits on my my life. And one last thing about the series, you kind of like the quote to test everything and to keep the good stuff, kind of where it comes from. And it's definitely not an original thought. And it was actually one of the things, one of the quotes I liked from the Bible. It comes from First Thessalonians 5:21. Prove everything, keep the good. Of course, depending on which Bible version you take, it's kind of formulated slightly different. So yeah, that's where it's from. So it's nothing original from the Austrian. So that's just a quick update. I also should go to bed. It's 4:23. Maybe I have an hour of sleep or something. So really appreciate that you did the series. You might end it, you might not end it. I don't blame you if you don't end it, because it's such a, how to say, it's part of human history, but it's probably also one. It's okay if you don't dwell too much on it. It's definitely good knowing about it, but I'm still wondering kind of how to respond to this topic, because a lot of people know it's a bad topic, but I also know from friends and family, there are also lots of people who appreciate this topic and light up like little children if they know, oh, the Austrian man was standing here and we had this and this good stuff. It's lots of those things haven't gone away, or they're not properly dealt with, because I think you mentioned it correctly that it was a system produced by people who were hurt, had like lots of problems, and there were kind of by many other people there were no mechanisms around to counter this. And of course, we have to see it in light with the of this big surge of Stalinism or communism, whichever word you pick, which was around at the time, and which was one of the biggest problems for most people. So much about this. I think I'm cool. 24 minutes. Thanks again. Happy New Year. Coming soon. And maybe you want to pick it up more. If not a problem. You're probably also a busy man. And bye.